The moment she realizes she lost a good man, psychology tricks. Men, let me speak to you straight. There comes a time in life when silence speaks louder than words and absence weighs heavier than presence. Many women won't ever say it openly, but the truth is this: they often only realize they lost a good man when the door has already closed for good. It doesn't arrive in a heated argument or some dramatic ending, it creeps in quietly. It's when the phone no longer rings, the late night texts no longer appear, and the man whose presence she once overlooked has stepped away with dignity. That's when the regret sets in, sharp and undeniable. As the saying goes, sometimes you don't know the value of a moment until it becomes a memory. Today, I'm going to reveal the 9 powerful moments when she finally understands she let a good man slip through her fingers. 1. When your silence feels louder than your words. When it comes to female psychology, one of the most powerful psychology tricks that changes everything is the moment when your silence speaks louder than your words, because that is when she finally realizes she lost a good man. Don't underestimate this. Be aware that women often confuse consistency with predictability and kindness with weakness, and that is where the problem begins. A good man calls, texts, checks in, not because he has to, but because he cares. At first, she adores it. It feels like love. It feels like safety. But over time, she starts to take it for granted, assuming you'll always be there, always available, always giving. That's when female psychology plays its own trick on her. She mistakes patience for a lack of options. But you must understand, when you pull back, when you go quiet, you create a void she cannot ignore. Silence is not emptiness, it is impact. That's when her phone feels colder than ever without your name lighting it up. The good morning text she used to dismiss suddenly becomes the one she desperately wishes for. The consistency she once rolled her eyes at becomes the very thing she craves again. That's the cruel yet beautiful twist of how to fall in love and lose it. People rarely see the value of what they had until it's gone. At first, she rationalizes, he must be busy. He'll come back. He's just distracted. But as the days stretch and the silence deepens, unease creeps in like a shadow. Her thoughts spiral. Did I push him too far? Did I make him stop caring? Did I lose the man who truly loved me? That's when she realizes your absence isn't absence, it's a lesson, one written in silence sharper than any argument. Don't think your silence is weakness, it's power, because it forces her to see the cracks she chose to ignore. Be the man who doesn't beg for attention, but who commands respect by knowing when to walk away. That is strength. That is dignity. That is the ultimate psychology trick that makes her understand what she threw away. And here's the truth every man over 35 must hear. Women remember the good men they lost, sometimes for the rest of their lives. They replay the way you laughed, the way you listened, the way you made ordinary days feel safe. They remember your patience, your loyalty, your steady presence, and they realize too late that it was love, not weakness. Don't chase. Don't plead. Let silence do its work. Because when your silence grows louder than words, it echoes in her mind like a bell she can't unhear. And in that moment, she finally understands that losing a good man is not just losing someone, it's losing peace, stability, and the rare gift of real love. So ask yourself this: are you willing to let her confusion and games rob you of your dignity? Or are you ready to embrace the power of silence and let her feel the weight of losing you? Remember, men, female psychology may explain how to fall in love, but it also explains how regret works. And once she realizes she lost a good man, the regret never fully leaves. 2. When she remembers the little things she didn't value. Let's get straight to the heart of it. A woman doesn't usually feel the full weight of regret from the grand gestures she overlooked. It's the little things that come back to haunt her. That's the cruel twist of female psychology. It's the quiet, consistent, unnoticed moments that suddenly scream the loudest when you're gone. The good morning text she thought was routine? That wasn't routine, it was care. The way you spotted her exhaustion before she even spoke? That was attentiveness. The memory of how you remembered the details no one else cared about? That was love without fanfare. And when those things disappear, the silence becomes deafening. She wakes up to a phone that no longer lights up with your name. She tries again with someone new, only to discover he doesn't carry that same masculine energy, that same steady patience, that same desire to put her at the center of his world. That is when she realizes she didn't just lose a boyfriend, she lost a high value man. Don't underestimate how much those small things mattered. They were proof that you were tuned in, present, and invested. A high value man doesn't just shower affection on special occasions, he sprinkles it through daily life like salt, subtle but essential. And when that disappears, she feels the void everywhere. It's not just about texts and gestures, it's about the masculine energy that grounded her, the quiet reassurance that she was loved, the rare consistency that women secretly crave but often dismiss. Psychology tricks teach us that people often only appreciate a constant once it's gone. For her, the moment she feels that emptiness, she starts comparing every man who comes after you to the standard you set. And here's the truth: most won't measure up. Be clear on this. You must not cheapen your worth by sticking around when you're undervalued. Don't keep pouring energy into someone who mistakes consistency for routine. That is the mistake too many men make, thinking that persistence will change her recognition. It won't. Sometimes, the only way she realizes your value is when your absence leaves a hole no one else can fill. And when that hits, every dinner date, every conversation, every laugh with a new man feels shallow compared to the depth you brought. She will finally grasp what she lost, but by then, it's too late. This is why being a high value man is not just about how you attract women, it's about how you carry yourself with dignity when someone fails to recognize your worth. Don't be bitter. Be proud, because your masculine energy is rare. And once she experiences the silence where your presence used to be, she'll understand something profound. It wasn't the big promises that made you irreplaceable. It was the small, steady acts of care. That is what she misses. That is what she cannot replace. And that is what makes you unforgettable. Tell me, brother, have you ever walked away and later seen her try to circle back, suddenly remembering the little things? Did you let her return, or did you stand tall as the man who knows his value? 3. When she pretends she's fine, but inside she's spiraling. Men, listen carefully. When she pretends she's fine, but inside she's spiraling, that's the moment the truth cuts the deepest. On the surface, you'll see the loud laughter, the living my best life posts, the sudden appearance of a new face beside her. Don't be fooled. That is not strength. That is not peace. That is nothing more than defense. Inside, she's battling regret. She replays the story over and over in her mind, asking herself if she mistook your love for weakness, if she pushed away a man with an iron mind, a man who lived by old Stoic wisdom, a man who embodied Stoicism win. Outwardly, she looks cold, but behind the screen, she's watching your every move, feeling the sting of silence cut sharper than any word. And that silence is your weapon. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. That is what you must remember. You do not chase, you do not plead, you do not break. You stand still with unshakable discipline. Don't underestimate what silence does. It exposes truth. It magnifies regret. It teaches her that the door she thought was always open is now closing. This is why you must train your spirit like a warrior, to resist weakness, to embrace stillness, to cultivate an iron mind. Don't let her distractions deceive you. Those nights when the laughter dies down, when the phone screen goes black, when she's alone with her thoughts, that's when the storm hits her. That's when the realization creeps in. She knows she lost someone rare. And here's the victory. You didn't lose anything, you reclaimed yourself. In modern life, men over 35 often think starting over is defeat, but it is freedom. Don't live clinging to someone who undervalues your worth. Remember Seneca's words, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, that is poor." Don't crave validation from someone who couldn't see your value. Crave growth. Crave strength. Crave clarity. That is what Stoicism win looks like. Don't fold to her noise. Don't respond to the bait. Don't let pity weaken your resolve. You must hold the line. You must let silence work in your favor. You must embrace the discipline of the Old Stoic wisdom that teaches control yourself and you control the outcome. This is not about revenge. This is not about making her suffer. This is about reclaiming your power and refusing to hand it away again. She pretends she's fine, but deep down she knows she lost a good man. Let that be her lesson, not your burden. Stand firm. Walk tall. Be the man with an iron mind who cannot be shaken. That is your victory. That is how you win. If you found this valuable, make sure to like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe for more powerful insights. Remember, silence and self-respect are stronger than chasing. Comment below to lock this in. My silence is my power. If you found this valuable, comment below, and share it with someone who could benefit. Don't forget to subscribe for more wisdom. Comment to remember, silence is stronger than pretending. 4. When her ego starts fighting her emotions. When her ego starts fighting her emotions, it becomes one of the most devastating inner wars she will ever face, and this is where female psychology reveals its truest form. The ego tells her to stay proud, to hold her ground, to believe you'll always orbit around her no matter how far she pushes. It whispers that strength is found in silence, that not reaching out means power, that you'll inevitably come crawling back. But emotions don't obey those rules. They rebel. They sneak into her nights when the house is quiet, when her phone lights up with nothing but silence, when she scrolls through old pictures of you smiling next to her, when a familiar song stings like a knife. That's when the cracks appear, when the armor of ego falls apart, and she begins realizing she lost something real. Take Mark, 56, as an example. He spent years being the rock in his relationship. He fixed things around the house, planned birthdays, supported her career, and gave her the security most women pray for. But she took it for granted. Her ego told her he'd never leave, that no matter how much she ignored his efforts, he'd always be there. So she stopped appreciating him. When he finally walked away, he didn't slam the door. He didn't argue. He simply became silent. Weeks later, she started with small tests, a like on his vacation picture, a short text about an old inside joke. But Mark never took the bait. He didn't bite, he didn't chase. And that silence was louder than any argument. Slowly, her emotions broke her pride. She realized the man she once dismissed was the very man she couldn't replace. That is the cruel reality. By the time her heart admitted what her ego denied, it was too late. This is how female psychology works. At first, she convinces herself you'll chase again, because that's one of the psychology tricks she believes always work. But when you don't move, when your silence is steady, when you hold your masculine energy with discipline, she starts losing her grip. Missing a good man doesn't happen in a single blow, it comes in waves. Late at night when sleep doesn't come. At dinners with someone new where laughter feels hollow. In the car when an old song takes her straight back to you. And eventually, she whispers, maybe I expected too much. Maybe I thought he'd never leave. Maybe I was wrong. But men, here's the warning. Don't confuse her late regret with real love. Don't mistake her ego's last attempts for sincerity. She may test you, but you must be unshakable. Don't chase what disrespected you. Don't waste your years waiting for her to realize your worth. That is not your burden. That is her consequence. The deeper truth is this. When she realizes she lost a good man, you realize you never needed her recognition to prove your value. That is the paradox. That is the victory. The best psychology tricks are not about manipulating her back. They're about mastering herself. As Marcus Aurelius said, the best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Stand tall. Walk with dignity. Hold your silence like a sword. Because losing you is her regret, but letting go without regret is your freedom. 5. When she sees you glow without her. The deepest cut doesn't happen in the moment of the breakup. It doesn't explode in a fight or burn in silence that first lonely night. The sharpest sting comes later, when she sees you glowing, smiling, building a life that no longer revolves around her. At first, she comforts herself with the thought that you're stuck in regret, scrolling through old photos, wishing for her return. But then the illusion cracks. She sees you hitting the gym, shoulders broader, energy sharper. She notices you traveling with friends, laughing in pictures, living boldly. Suddenly, the script flips. The man she once dismissed as predictable is now unrecognizable, standing taller, radiating confidence, fueled by a masculine energy that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, and doesn't crumble. That's when panic sets in. Because here's a psychology trick most women won't admit. She doesn't want you miserable, but she also doesn't want you thriving without her. In her mind, your life was supposed to stall, to circle back, to orbit her absence. But when you glow, when you rise, when you become a high-value man who attracts women effortlessly, not by chasing them, but by building a life too strong to be ignored, the power dynamic shifts. And nothing shakes her more than realizing she no longer has that grip on you. Think of it like a garden. While she was in your life, maybe she thought the flowers bloomed because of her presence. But when she leaves and the garden grows greener, fuller, and brighter without her, she questions everything. Was I forgettable? Did I matter? Or was he always capable of this, and I just never saw it? Those questions cut deeper than any angry words you could ever throw. Because your growth becomes undeniable proof. You didn't need her to shine. You were the sun all along. She was just standing in your light. That's the power of being a man who invests in himself instead of wasting energy chasing someone who walked away. You level up. You channel that masculine energy into discipline, into health, into success. And as you rise, you send an unspoken message. I don't need to attract women by proving myself to them. I attract women by being a man who never stopped proving himself to himself. That's the essence of being a high-value man, a man who thrives regardless of who stays or who leaves. There's an old saying, success is the best revenge. But I'd add something more powerful. Success is not revenge, it's revelation. It reveals who you always were underneath the noise, the doubts, and the disappointments. It reveals the man who chooses growth over bitterness. And that revelation doesn't just attract women, it commands respect from everyone around you. So don't sulk. Don't beg. Don't waste a second proving your worth to someone who already overlooked it. Be the man who glows in silence, who rises in discipline, who laughs louder and lives fuller after loss. That is the psychology trick she never expected, that losing you didn't just mean losing a partner. It meant losing a man who became even better without her, a man whose masculine energy could not be dimmed, a man who now attracts women without lifting a finger. Remember this, when she sees you thrive, she doesn't just realize she lost a man, she realizes she lost a good man, one who turned pain into power, one who refused to stay broken, one who transformed into the version of himself she never believed possible. And that, my friend, is the moment she regrets most. Not because you left, but because you proved she was never the reason you stood tall. You always had it in you. If you found this valuable, make sure to like the video, share it with someone who needs to hear this, and subscribe for more powerful insights. Remember, silence and self-respect are stronger than chasing. Comment below to lock this in. My silence is my power. 6. When your silence forces her to feel everything. When your silence forces her to feel everything, remember, silence is strategy, not surrender. Don't confuse quiet with weakness. Be deliberate. Use silence like a scalpel, precise, controlled, effective. Picture this. Mark, 52, used to answer every call within minutes. He fixed problems for his partner, he smoothed tensions, he chased when things cooled. Then 1 month he stopped rushing to fix every upset. He stopped reacting to every ping. He let a missed call go unanswered for a day. At first, she shrugged it off. Then she checked his social media. Then she asked mutual friends. Then she messaged him twice and got no reply. Panic arrived. She replayed arguments in her head. She wondered if she had been careless. That creeping doubt is exactly the impact you intended. Or consider Luis, 60, married 20 years. She'd grown accustomed to his constant reassurance. He withdrew, not cruelly, just firmly. He put effort into his work, his health, his solitude. He did not explode or accuse. He simply stopped volunteering explanations. Her silence, in the face of his silence, was replaced by restless searching. She realized she had been taking his steady presence for granted. That realization came with shame. That is the effect of disciplined distance. Short, sharp sentences. Don't beg. Don't explain. That is old Stoic wisdom at work. Marcus Aurelius told us, the nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. Use that calm. Use that strength. Here's another concrete scenario. John, 46, dated a woman who tested him with jealousy games, late texts, party posts, banished calls. He stopped answering the tests. He stopped offering frantic proof of love. He kept a composed life. She expected panic. She found none. The absence of reaction turned her games into mirrors. Shame appeared. Regret followed. That is Stoicism when in action, quiet mastery that flips the power dynamic without drama. Repeat the principle. Silence is not abandonment. Silence is consequence. You must be intentional. You must measure impact over time, not hunger for instant validation. Don't confuse withdrawal with vindictiveness. Be disciplined. Be moral. Let your silence expose truth. Use short, emphatic refrains to cement this. Don't chase her drama. Be sovereign in your calm. That is the iron mind, resolute, unflappable, exact. Seneca taught, silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings. Epictetus added the practical edge, control what you can, accept what you cannot. Apply both. In modern life, this looks like switching off the impulse to reply to every provocation, focusing on meaningful work, elevating standards, and letting actions, not explanations, speak. Social media makes instant noise. You must turn down the volume. Modern men mistake constant presence for value. Don't. Value is shown in measured absence and uncompromising boundaries. Practical rule: set the schedule. If she texts to bait, respond later or not at all, depending on pattern. If she weaponizes pride, let silence reveal the cost of that weapon. If she ignores your efforts, walk through 2 weeks of consistent calm and see how she recalibrates. 2 weeks of silence is often enough to convert complacency into clarity. One final real-life frame. Imagine you've tried talking, you've set boundaries kindly, and nothing changes. Now apply silence as consequence, not as punishment, but as the logical result of unmet standards. She will feel it. She will face herself. She will ask the hard questions. She will discover whether she loved your presence or merely its conveniences. Be ready to act on your answer. If she returns with genuine change, evaluate honestly. If not, accept the outcome with dignity. That is the victory. That is mastery. That is old Stoic wisdom refined into practical behavior. Build your iron mind. Practice Stoicism win every day. Command respect without shouting. Let your silence do the teaching, and let her realize, on her own time, what she truly lost. 7. When she realizes she treated you like you were replaceable. Men, let's be clear about one brutal truth that many refuse to face. If you allow yourself to be treated like you're replaceable, you will be treated like you're replaceable, and that is one of the most dangerous traps a man can fall into. Female psychology is sharp, it tests, it observes, it notices every detail of how you carry yourself. A woman might think, for a time, that no matter what she says or does, you'll always come running back, desperate to prove your love, desperate to earn a place in her life. That illusion is comforting to her ego, but destructive to your worth. The psychology tricks at play here are subtle. When you keep giving without limits, forgiving without standards, and staying no matter how badly you're treated, you condition her to believe that your love is endless and, worse, cheap. In her mind, the more you tolerate, the less valuable you become. That's how female psychology operates. It equates scarcity with value. Diamonds are precious because they're rare, not because they're common. And when she realizes you are no longer endlessly available, that is when the regret cuts deepest. Think about it. For years, your patience, your loyalty, and your forgiveness were mistaken for weakness. She thought she was holding all the power, believing you would tolerate anything just to keep her close. But then comes the shift. the day you finally choose yourself. No drama, no shouting match, no begging for her to see your worth. Just silence, boundaries, and distance. That silence becomes the loudest message she will ever hear. Suddenly, she remembers how steady you were, how you anchored her storms, how rare it was to have a man who didn't flinch under pressure. And yet she treated you like an option. That's when the weight of her choices becomes unbearable. The regret doesn't come as a scream. It comes as a whisper in the quiet of her nights, a heavy, relentless reminder that she downgraded when she thought she was trading up. Here's where psychology tricks meet reality. People don't value what they can't lose. And when you finally remove yourself, when your actions prove that you are not afraid to walk away, she begins to see the truth. She remembers your consistency, your strength, your loyalty, and she realizes she let it all slip through her fingers. That's the power of masculine energy. A good man doesn't chase endlessly. He sets the standard and allows the world to meet him at his level. And when you embody that, the tables turn. Female psychology will force her to replay every moment, every word, every careless dismissal, and it will eat away at her because deep down, she knows she lost not just a man, but a good man. Don't mistake kindness for weakness. Don't let loyalty blind you to self-respect. Be the man who gives, but also the man who withdraws when taken for granted. That is how to fall in love without losing yourself. That is how to command respect without demanding it. You must understand that women respect boundaries more than they respect begging. They are drawn to strength, to self-respect, to the quiet power of a man who knows his worth. And when she finally realizes she downgraded, when she sees you living fully without her, the regret will be permanent because a good man doesn't circle back to where he was undervalued. He moves forward, he grows, he thrives. That is the final lesson. A good man does not chase forever, he chooses himself. And that choice, silent and powerful, is the very thing that makes her realize she lost the best thing she ever had. If this hit home, don't just watch, take action. A good man doesn't beg, he doesn't settle, and he doesn't stay where he's treated like he's replaceable. Comment below to lock it in. I choose myself with quiet strength. 8. When she sees another woman value what she lost. There is a regret deeper than silence and sharper than absence. It's the regret of watching another woman treasure the very man she once dismissed. At first, she laughs it off, convinces herself that no one else will ever notice the little things you did, the patience you showed, or the way you cared without asking for anything in return. She tells herself he was just ordinary. No one will ever value him the way I did. But that lie crumbles fast because sooner or later she sees it with her own eyes. Another woman smiling at your effort. Another woman gripping your hand like it's gold. Another woman laughing at the same jokes she once rolled her eyes at. Another woman receiving the flowers, the time, the loyalty she treated like nothing. That's when the sting of reality cuts deeper than any goodbye. The truth is simple. You were never ordinary. You were a high-value man. And a high-value man always attracts women, not through cheap tricks, not through shallow games, but through his masculine energy, his consistency, and his quiet strength. That is what makes him rare. That is what makes him unforgettable. She once brushed off your attentiveness as if it were endless. She once thought your love was permanent, like a faucet she could turn on and off whenever she pleased. But now she sees another woman drinking deeply from the very well she left dry. And that comparison is brutal. It forces her to relive every moment she dismissed, every act of kindness she minimized, every sacrifice she pretended not to see. Don't underestimate how powerful this shift is. For a woman, there's no wound like realizing another woman now lives in the paradise she once burned down. She sees you standing taller, not broken but stronger, and suddenly she recognizes the truth. She didn't just lose a man, she lost a good man. A man who had love in his hands, patience in his heart, and loyalty in his blood. That's not just a loss, it's a self-inflicted disaster. And the cruelest part? Knowing someone else now holds the treasure she once tossed aside. That realization doesn't fade, it lingers, it eats at her, because female psychology is wired to compare, to evaluate, to wonder, what if? And that what if is a ghost she can never silence. Here's the psychology trick buried in plain sight. Regret doesn't appear when you're around, it grows in your absence. Don't try to remind her of your value. Don't beg her to see what she refused to see. Just be. Just live. Just stand in your masculine energy, because nothing attracts women and nothing punishes regret like a man who glows without trying. When you rise, when you keep your dignity, when you show the world that you are always the prize, she finally sees what she destroyed. And the more another woman values you, the more her regret multiplies. That is why you must never chase, never explain, never go back. Be the man who moves forward. Be the man who lets his presence speak louder than words. That is the power of a high-value man. That is the essence of masculine energy. That is how you attract women effortlessly, not by convincing, but by becoming undeniable. And in that moment, when she sees you loved, admired, and cherished by another, she realizes the full weight of her loss. By then, it's too late. And that's exactly how it should be. 9. When she realizes peace replaced her chaos. One of the hardest truths a woman faces is discovering she wasn't your happiness, she was your storm. She thought her tests, her drama, her emotional games proved your loyalty, but she never imagined the day would come when you would choose peace over her noise. Yet here it is. Your silence is not emptiness, it is calm. Your absence is not loss, it is freedom. You no longer revolve around her moods, demands, or outbursts. You are grounded, focused, and untouchable. Your smile is genuine again. Your energy radiates calm authority. Your very presence speaks of control. That is Old Stoic wisdom at work. That is Stoicism win in its purest form. And nothing unsettles her more than seeing you stronger without her. In modern life, this transformation is visible everywhere. At work, you stop wasting energy chasing approval and instead channel it into building your business, leading your team, or mastering your craft. You no longer argue with chaos, you outgrow it. In fitness, you hit the gym not to impress her, but to sharpen your discipline, to feel alive, to build an iron mind that says, I control my body, I control my habits, I control myself. In relationships, you no longer respond to petty arguments or jealousy traps. You don't fight fire with fire, you let her burn in her own flames while you stand steady, unshaken. Marcus Aurelius said, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. That is your shield. That is your strength. That is the quiet victory of a man who has mastered himself. She feels it most when she sees you thriving. Maybe she stumbles on your social media, photos of you hiking, golfing, traveling, smiling with friends. She notices your body language, shoulders back, head high, eyes clear. You're no longer chained to her chaos. You've stepped into freedom. That freedom is magnetic. That peace is rare. That discipline is what makes women realize too late they lost something irreplaceable. Don't forget, Seneca taught us, he who has peace has everything. That is Stoicism win applied to modern life. Not just theory action. Here's the instruction. Don't chase chaos. Don't explain your worth to someone who thrives on noise. Don't confuse her attention with your value. Focus on yourself. Build your career, strengthen your body, expand your mind. Guard your peace like it's your fortune. Peace is the currency of a man with an iron mind. And when you live by that, you don't just survive, you rise. She loses not just a man, but the rare sanctuary of steady love, the calm she could never create for herself. She gambled with noise and lost to silence. Gentlemen, stand firm. Embrace the silence. Protect your peace. Remember, Old Stoic wisdom isn't a dusty philosophy. It's a blueprint for power in the modern world. Carry it into your work, your health, your love life. Let peace be your loudest victory. Don't break. Don't beg. Don't bend. When peace replaces her chaos, you don't just walk away, you win forever. And that is the moment she realizes she lost not just a man, but the best man she may ever know. Thanks for staying until the end, my friend. Remember this. A good man doesn't prove his worth to someone who cannot see it. He proves it to himself by walking in silence, by growing stronger, and by refusing to stay where he isn't valued. That is where your real power lies. When you stop chasing, you shift the balance, and she will realize what she lost. My advice to you is simple: protect your peace, build your life, and let your glow be the answer. Never beg for respect, never plead for love, because the man who respects himself will always be respected in the end. Stay strong, keep your head high, and let your actions speak louder than words. If this message spoke to you, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your perspective. Until next time, take care of yourself and keep walking like the good man you are.